Hi gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that hits close to home because I've seen a huge common theme in a lot of our clients and our followers, and it pains me to realize that this is what you're going through. And so today is going to be a very important video. If you're struggling on understanding why it is so hard for you to get what you want, to form the relationships that will respect you, that will respect your boundaries, that will love and care for you, that will not belittle your achievements, you're on the right video. Because a lot of our clients don't leave relationships because you've stopped caring about the other person. A lot of our clients and men in general contemplate on leaving a relationship, your girlfriend or wife, because you've stopped recognizing yourself in the mirror. You start asking yourself, did I work so hard every single day, fight the wars that I fight every single day, wake up, suck it up, not speak for this, not complain for this? And that's what a lot of our male clients are going through. And so if this is what you're going through and you're wondering if it's time to walk away from your wife or your girlfriend, I want to warn you, this isn't a video about me telling you to leave her or giving up or divorcing, no, or being impulsive. This is a video about me telling you there's two sides to the story and what's happening in your brain and what's happening in her brain, and hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity. In this video, we're breaking down what I call psychological traps that she puts you in, that you put yourself in. And what I want to say most of all is we are a creature of our own habits and behaviors. And if you're not aware of those behaviors, my biggest fear in our humanity or mental health in general for men is that you're constantly going to burn yourself out after trials and trials and trials. Because yes, life is about suffering and life has pain, but at the end of the route, at the end of that tunnel, there should be a reward. And if you're not experiencing that in your own life, you can only fight for so long. And so if you haven't already explored therapy, it's time to try to give it a go. But before I begin talking about today's topic, understanding the signs that it's time for you to actually leave a relationship, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Christy. I'm a therapist. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a lover of all loving dynamics. I'm a curious animal when it comes to sociology, social psychology, evolutionary psychology, behavioral psychology. I like to understand how things work, especially when it comes to relationships, and a crucial, important piece of relationships is family and you, gentlemen. You are the seed, not figuratively, but literally, to family planning. And so beautiful, healthy, strong, resilient men are crucial variables in our society, and that's our whole mission in our practice. So if you're new here, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and that like button. And if you're old here, I hope you've already pressed that subscribe button and that like button, and welcome back, and let's begin. Also, might I add, if you haven't tried therapy before and you're contemplating, can you comment down below what's making you contemplate? What about therapy is a hesitation to you? I'm all about transparent communication. Tell me, like it's a Reddit forum, tell me your truth. What's the taboo things that you hear in society that prevents you from actually giving therapy a try? Because my whole mission is to genuinely gift you the gift of therapy and a good practitioner if you choose to take that risk, okay? So if you are hesitant, please comment down below why you're hesitant. And also, if you're looking for a therapist, mostly that is one that is going to understand male psychology and be empathetic and understanding, and not enabling, but understanding of your worldview, you can book a consultation with one of our team members, and we'd be happy to hop on a call with you and discover what is going on and how we can help. Basically, go back in time and connect the dots so that things make more sense for you, because it always will if we spend time on it. First off, let's start off with why it's so hard for men to leave, even when things are deeply off. even when your gut instinct tells you this is probably not going to be a good time. Number one, you've been conditioned to tough it out. It's very apparent in human psychology. It's very apparent in evolutionary psychology and social psychology that men are raised to equate emotional endurance with strength. So you've been praised for sucking it up, sticking it out, not complaining, even when situations are very stressful, very painful, full of turmoil, and that complaining just is useless. And so walking away can feel like you're a failure, that you were too weak, even when it was just all about survival. You see, in our day and age, yes, we've been privileged enough to have options to discover what is the best type of life and relationships that we want. And it's not just about survival anymore. And in past relationships or marriages, if you look back in time, relationships and marriages were based on survival. If the woman was abandoned by the husband in that community, her children would be at stake. She will not be able to survive on her own, and he would be extremely shamed for leaving a family. Now, in today's day and age, it's a little bit different, and toughing it out at all stages of life or stressors or life stages that bring stress isn't always your answer. And so I just want to make it aware to you that yes, you've been conditioned to tough it out, but not all scenarios require you to tough it out. Number two is what I call the reward and punishment loop. From a behavioral psychology lens, many dysfunctional relationships use intermittent reinforcement of affection and hostility together as a loop, as a feedback loop. And this is what puts you in a place of emotional punishment, but then the reward comes in to make you feel just hopeful enough. And this unpredictability is extremely effective when it comes to men and men specifically, because you're driven to compete. You're driven to try to prove your worth in some way. And when she's giving you ebbs and flows of punishments and rewards, it feeds into that cycle and it feeds into that psyche of yours. Although it can be very painful and you know that it is full of stress, some ways I've seen it in my clients all of the time, especially the ones that are in sales roles or executive roles, that in a way, yes, it is very painful, but that's also what keeps them on their toes. So take that with a grain of salt if you realize that that's in you. Level of self-awareness and admitting that is important. Not everything is black and white. There's some gray in there. Because realize this, if there's no highs and lows in your brain, if you're not addicted to it, it's an equation of a healthy relationship. However, if you're that type of guy that gets bored easily, that potentially steps out of the relationship easily, that dynamic, the reward and punishment loop, could be exactly what's actually preventing you from stepping out, preventing you from being bored, and it's her only way of controlling you. Number three, evolutionary triggers. Evolutionary psychology suggests that walking away from a woman you've chosen triggers deep fear, failure, shame, loss of status, and most of all, the fear of being alone. So men often stay not because he's happy or it's right, but because it feels safer than leaving. Take that in for a little bit. A lot of humans, and men more specifically, don't stay because you're happy or because it's the right thing to do, but because you feel safer staying than leaving. If this is hitting close to home and you're starting to want to click away because I'm speaking too much truth, you're seeing a side of yourself in these patterns that I'm explaining that, I'm going to be honest, is one of the biggest parts of therapy that is uncomfortable and challenging, but it's also not a sign that you're broken. It's just a sign that you're hiding some parts of yourself, procrastinating some decisions, procrastinating some sense of reflection that you weren't ready for, or you're ready now maybe. So if you feel like it's finally time for you to start understanding these type of patterns in yourself and diving straight into how your choices, your behaviors may prevent you from living that fulfilling, genuine life, purposeful life, mission-driven life, that's what I focus on every single day. And if you want to book a session with one of our therapists, please do. The link is in our description, and one of our team members will reach out to you, or you can book straight through that link, because you don't and should not carry this alone, because there's only so much as to what you think you know. Number 2, blind spots that I see a lot of our clients and men miss when it comes to romantic relationships, and why you find it so hard to leave when times have shown you time and time again that this relationship may not be the one. Because it's not always about the obvious blow-ups. We fight all the time. There could be very, very big fights that people never talk about. And you hear that couple say, yeah, we never fight. I find it hard to believe, only because if you don't fight, then you're not communicating, and there's unspoken pain, resentment, or things that we can talk about to improve our relationship, sex, intimacy, needs, not feeling respected, feeling bored in the relationship, roommate syndrome. Just because you don't fight doesn't mean you have a good relationship, that people are happy. Now, it's a slow erosion when these things happen. And so here are some blind spots that I see men miss. Number 1, emotional manipulation disguised as stress or sensitivity. You might explain away her volatility. She's just had a huge trauma. She's been cheated on, or her father was abusive, trigger warning, or she's under a lot of pressure. She's going through postpartum depression. She's going through period symptoms. She's going through menopause. But if her emotions always comes before your need, if you're constantly having to adapt to her emotions all of the time, you're not in a relationship. You're on constant survival mode. No woman should ever use those very real female-oriented symptoms of her stage of life and anatomy. Very real. However, she should never use that against you. It should be something in which you both communicate the causes and who it affects, and how we can build past this, right? How you can help. Does she need space, right? Is it even that? Is period pains like, yes, it's bad, but what can we do about it, right? It should never be the trump card in any sense. And I see this all of the time in relationships. And gentlemen, let's be real. You use those reasons to rationalize her away from taking accountability too, because you don't want to face it. The underlying problem is not those symptoms or menopause, postpartum depression, XYZ, is that you both don't know how to solve it. And that is the problem. Number 2, misreading avoidance as independence. Many men mistake emotional unavailability for confidence, especially in the early stages of dating, such as slow little signs of stonewalling. Oh, I forgot to answer, sorry, I was busy. Withholding affection or shutting down during conflicts if it gets a little bit too heavy. And she uses her avoidant attachment style against you. Oh, I'm just like that because of my attachment style, because I was never loved properly by my mother or father. And she uses this to somehow cop out of any conflicts. She uses this to control closeness, how close you're allowed to get to her and how far she wants to put you, and punish you silently. Remember, we learn a lot in therapy. We learn a lot of labels, but those labels should never be an excuse or reason to hurt your partner, to hurt you. She could be struggling, but it is never a reason to not solve it. Number 3, the false self. In the first 6 or 12 months of you guys getting together, you might have been dating her potential. I'm just going to be so honest with you. The first 6 or 12 months of any relationship or any romantic relationship, we're both on our best behaviors. You probably fell in love with that version of her. But if you're clinging to who she used to be instead of who she's showing you right now, now you're holding onto a huge fantasy. You've sabotaged what your brain was actually meaning to do for you, what anxiety was meaning to actually in evolution built to do for you, which is warn you of danger, which sadness or low dopamine or stress, cortisol, was adapted in your body to actually do for you, because you are not willing to face the fact that you fell in love with a false version of her. Can you get it back? Maybe, when she's trying to reward you. It should never be used against you. That's very fake. Right? What I always tell clients is there's a difference between a facade and a personality type. A facade is the type of person that she will show you knowing that's what you want. A personality, with you in it or not, she's going to be that way. She's going to show up that way. Now, we're all allowed bad days, right? We're all allowed, this is where the period hormones come in. We're allowed to have periods and things of the ebbs and flows. She might be a little sassy or a little feisty. I'm a little bit feisty when it comes to my period hormones and my PMS. However, it shouldn't be too far away from baseline. When you see a woman go from the woman you've always wanted to everything in which was unrecognizable in a flip of a switch, you could be falling in love with the false self. Number 4, the fixer fantasy. Many men believe if I don't love her right, she'll change. That's not love. That's a trauma enactment. Let me repeat it. That's not love. That's a trauma enactment. Okay? That's your trauma talking. That's your view of what love is. Trying to earn closeness by overgiving leads to resentment, not connection. Now, do I believe that love should be unconditional? It sounds great, but no, it shouldn't be unconditional. However, though, we're allowed hard days. We're allowed days in which we don't feel that great, where we're only able to give, the very common analogy, 20%, and our partner provides that 80%. And then when our partner is only able to give 20%, we give that 80%. But if you are constantly in the cycle of having to be at your best, prove your worth, always be on guard, not ever really relax in fear that she's going to leave you, abandon you, think that you're not the best man that in the whole wide world, that's a huge issue. Which brings me to part 3 of this video before I wrap things up, is some signs that it's time to walk away and don't tell me I told you so. Now, again, this video isn't about me telling you to leave your girlfriend or wife. I'm obviously speaking to more people and I can't speak to you directly, so only you know so much as to what you know. And so please be truthful and take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt and be intelligent about it. But I've given a warning, and so let me begin. How do you know when the relationship isn't just hard, but wrong for you? That's the high-level question, right? It's not the conflicts or the fights that you can't sustain or that you can't live through. But if it's the wrong decision for you, if you're making the wrong decision of a mother for your children, or you're not in the life that you feel like should be the next 20 years, I mean, that is more at risk, right? That is a bigger decision and that's harder, right? You don't want to lose opportunity. And so let me tell you some symptoms I want you to realize. And I'm talking to people who've been dating for possibly past the 2 or 3 year mark. Comment down below if you're that person, or at least, a lot of our clients have been married for 20 plus years and still feeling this way, and it's a huge red flag. So number 1 is you're always on edge. Now, I want to give you an idea of what that means. I'm not talking about, I better text her back that I'm coming back home for dinner. I'm not talking about normal ethics. I'm talking about you and your biology and your body is never at ease around her. Managing her moods all of the time. Watching your tone and the way you deliver certain words all of the time. Constantly scanning for the next blow up that's going to happen tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, or how July 4th that just passed, how you're dreading that because you know there's going to be a fight that might happen, or you don't want to bring certain things up because you know her response. She's never going to be understanding. She's never going to see your point of view. It's not a relationship. That's you being in emotional hypervigilance. You don't even have time to actually think for yourself. And that's why you start losing yourself. That's a huge sign that it's time to at least start to take a pause. Number 2, Surprise, surprise, you've lost your sense of self, your masculine identity, who you are as a man. If you feel like a muted version of yourself, or that you don't even know anything other than wanting to go to bed or going to the gym to avoid her, or really looking forward to that golfing trip with your friends because then you finally get a break, you're not the person that you want to be in your relationship. You're less confident, more anxious, there's no help. It means that your self-worth has been eroded. Your sense of self has been eroded. And does toughing it out always mean that's going to change? I mean, she's seen you suffering for so long, right? If you've brought it up, if you've told her that you don't feel like yourself lately, you don't feel happy, does she provide solutions rather than, well, you got to figure your stuff out or else we're going to be unhappy? So you're continuously going down that road of feeling lost because she doesn't understand that a relationship requires two. And if you don't feel good, that person should support you to lift you back up. And if that never happens or it rarely happens, I don't blame you for losing yourself. Number 3, there's no ownership on her end. This one's very simple. When every conflict ends with you having to apologize, even when things are just very simple, you trying to express a need, that's emotional manipulation. When she sees your needs, your discomfort, your sadness, the things that you're mad about as your problem, and that you're using it against her to attack her, and she doesn't see it as you're asking for help, you're begging her to help you, and there's no ownership with your pain and your struggles on her end. She doesn't see your problems as her problems too. I'm just going to put a silence towards that. That's heartbreaking for you, gentlemen. Number 4, you've changed, but she hasn't. You might have gone to therapy. You've learned to communicate a little bit, set better boundaries, and she still defaults to blame, avoidance, emotional chaos, and you're starting to outgrow the relationship. You're starting to see the world in a different light. If she doesn't grow with you, it's really hard. If she doesn't change her communication, it's really hard, okay? So if you've changed and she hasn't communicated how to change together, or you haven't communicated what you want to do in order to grow together and change together, you just start outgrowing the relationship. Hence the roommate syndrome, decrease in sexual intimacy, all of that. So I hope you found this video helpful and direct and gentle. I'm not saying that it's always her fault, but I'm just trying to tell you the nuances and high-level signs that you should look out for within the system of your relationship or the dynamic of your relationship and yourself, that you should start asking yourself, why did I get here and what can I do about it? Were there things that you could communicate better in? Were there boundaries you can set in a different way and deliver in a different way? Was there a way that you can communicate your values in a non-verbal way? It's not always about doing more, it's about doing different. But if some of the signs of you having to leave hits home, just know that you're not alone in this. And this is why therapy is genuinely crucial. I've seen so much change in our clients every single week because most men don't need tips on how to communicate better. You need steps. You don't need tips. You don't need theories. You need steps and on-the-go coaching. And most importantly, you need to understand why you keep getting yourself into these types of patterns, because the mirror that you stand in front and the person that's staring straight back at you is just the same old pains. So this is why therapy helps you. It spots all of that and it tries to force you and challenge you to face it, to be truthful with yourself, and to build what I call that internal compass for the future. What I always want to say is you don't go to therapy to save a relationship. You go to therapy to save yourself first and realize what you want. Because once you do, things will be a lot clearer. So if you're interested, you can book a call with one of our team members in our practice. We are strictly working with male clients because we think it is a huge gap in our society. And if we're going to do something well, we want to focus on one theory, one identity, one gender, you could call it, one clientele at a time, because it does require that level of tunnel vision in order for us to truly give you the value that you require in order to break free from some of your very real and subjective painful life experiences, especially in relationships. So if you're ready to break this cycle, click that link below in our description and book a call with one of us. And I hope you found this video helpful. Until next time, bye. Hi everyone, if you enjoyed our content, don't forget to follow us on TikTok and IG where we post daily and YouTube where we post weekly.